What's up, y'all, and happy Wednesday. I hope everybody out there is happy and healthy. So let's not waste any time and go ahead and get down. Now, of course, we're going to start this video off talking about the Epstein Files because, quite frankly, it's just too much information to unpack here. Now, on yesterday, I was sent something extremely jarring. This young man has went viral all over TikTok because he found in the Epstein Files that there was information that was stating that an MCC officer alleged that Epstein was removed from his cell on the night that he passed away. Now, of course, with these new findings, a lot of people are questioning the validity of Jeffrey Epstein actually passing. Remember, a lot of people question if he died in the first place. And so a lot of people feel that it's not beyond the realm of possibility that Jeffrey could be somewhere across the pond, twiddling his fingers, watching all of this chaos unfold while smiling ghoulishly. But anyway, let me go ahead and insert this clip and then I'll be back.
The Epstein Files contain a viral 4chan post from an anonymous individual who claims they witnessed seeing Epstein wheelchaired out of his cell on the night he passed away. Here's the 4chan post, and as you can see, it was uploaded the morning Epstein passed away. It says, "Not saying anything after this. Please don't try to dox me, but last night after the 4:15 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse said they spoke to him." Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. "We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it." Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and himself. Here's the thing, the trip van did not sign in and we did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I am shaking right now, but I think they might have switched him out. Now take a look at the numbers up top right there. As you can see, the exact same post, word for word, was uploaded with the Epstein Files. The numbers right there are the exact same as well. The SDNY took this post very seriously. They opened up an investigation to find out who the guy was that made it a day after it was posted. He's been identified as Roberto Grijalva, an MCC officer who worked at the jail Epstein passed away in. His name was revealed in his banking records as part of the SDNY's grand jury filing. His name also appears in other Epstein files involving interviews relating to this prison, but it's been confirmed he worked there when Epstein passed away. Separately, and this part is 100% confirmed, Epstein's body was removed from his cell and taken to a hospital. This means crime scene investigators and the medical examiner did not examine the body in place.
Now, of course, the comments were running wild like a child in a walker. Shout out to Inspector Deck. But yeah, everybody was coming to the conclusion that Jeffrey Epstein could have been switched that night with someone else. A lot of people also said that he could be chilling in a country that starts with IS. You guys can fill in the blank. You know where I'm coming from. And then there are also people in the comments dropping a couple of names of who Jeffrey Epstein could have been potentially switched out with. So this information, to say the very least, is quite extraordinary. But anyway, let's move along, and I want to talk about the mysterious disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, who happens to be the mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. Now, the details of this story are bone-chilling, so it seems as though that Nancy was dropped off at her home by her daughter on Saturday after running errands. Nancy was supposed to go to church the next day on Sunday, but Nancy simply just didn't show up. So that prompted her friend to actually contact the family to see where Nancy was. It was unlike her to miss church on Sundays, right? And so the family began to look for Nancy, and unfortunately their search was unsuccessful, and then things went left from there. I want you guys to check out these two clips and then I'll be back.
Hey guys, so more information is coming out in the case of missing 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie out of Tucson, Arizona. If you guys missed Ashley Banfield's episode last night on YT, I am going to break down what her sources have confirmed to her so that you guys have an understanding of kind of where this investigation seems to be heading. A source very close to this investigation told Ashley Banfield that there were multiple cameras at Nancy Guthrie's residence and that multiple cameras were actually smashed, which may indicate that whoever did this was familiar with Nancy Guthrie's residence and where those specific cameras were. She also noted that the back door of Nancy's residence was left open, but there was blood found on the outside of the front of the house by the front door as well as inside of the residence. So it seems like someone maybe made entry through the back of her house and then took her outside through the front door, or the back door being open isn't relevant at all. Maybe the person who did this opened the back door to make it seem like someone had entered through the back door when really really it was the front door. Now, Nancy was reportedly last seen the night of January 31st, 2026 around 9:45 p.m. when her daughter Annie and her partner Tommaso Cioni dropped her off at home after a night out. It's been confirmed that Nancy was last seen by these two individuals right here, which automatically makes them persons of interest, not suspects, but persons of interest. We're also finding out through Ashley Banfield's credible source that authorities have impounded Annie's vehicle. They have taken that in and they are testing it and processing it as possibly being connected to Nancy's disappearance. And that Tommaso, someone who lives about 10 minutes away from Nancy, someone who was one of the last people to see her alive, someone who knows this residence and where the cameras are, and someone who has access to Annie's vehicle, is being looked at as a prime suspect right now. Doesn't mean that he is an actual suspect or that he'll be considered one in a couple of days, but that is what currently law enforcement is looking into. Now, we did get a little bit more information as to why law enforcement believes something happened to Nancy in the early morning hours of February 1st, 2026, and it's because of her pacemaker. The pacemaker that she has reportedly separated from the device that it's connected to in her bedroom on February 1st around 2 o'clock in the morning, and it didn't separate because she died. It separated because it basically stopped connecting. So think of it like AirPods. If you put your phone down in your bed and you run to the grocery store, the AirPods are going to disconnect from your phone because they're no longer in range. Now, last night I started looking into Tommaso and I found out that he was at one point a middle school science teacher. He's from Italy. He loves to write poetry. He was in a band. According to all of these teacher appreciation posts, people seem to have loved him. They said that he was an amazing teacher. Former students of his from years ago stated that he was such an inspiration, that he was kind, he was awesome. Tommaso was also in a band called Early Black. I was looking into that band too. It's from the 2000s, and one of his debut albums was called Life, Love, Love, Murder. So that's definitely interesting in my eyes. Now, I've been saying this since the very beginning. Nancy was only discovered to be missing after someone from church contacted family and let them know that she did not show up for church on Sunday, February 1st. Authorities say that a member of Nancy's family or family members, they didn't specify it was one person or multiple people, arrived to her residence around 11 to check on her to see where she was. They looked around for her for an hour before calling authorities at noon. So who was at her residence between 11 and 12 looking for her and not seeing blood in the front of the house, not noticing that the cameras were smashed, not noticing that the back door was left wide open to the point that it took an hour for law enforcement to be contacted? Could it have been Tommaso? So now when we look at him as possibly being a prime suspect in all of this, what is motive? Well, this woman was an elderly woman who required a lot of assistance, who probably had a lot of money. Is it possible that he saw this as an opportunity to take her out of the picture so that he did not have to help care for her anymore? Maybe have to help fund her care, maybe so that he could have access to some of that money. We really don't know right now. This is just speculation. Of course, more information is going to come out, so please withhold from being too hard on these people. I just wanted to share what's coming out and what is circulating online to keep everyone in the loop as we prepare for what is probably going to come out next. Let me know what you guys are thinking and make sure you're following me. Of course, as more information comes out, I'll be sure to share with you guys.
All right, so we just witnessed what he had to say about the situation. And so even though Annie Guthrie's husband, Tommaso Cioni, is a suspect as it pertains to the disappearance of Nancy, that hasn't swayed people away from looking at this situation like it could be tied to Epstein somehow. With this person saying she interviewed PDF victims, then another person agreed and said, yep, definitely a warning for other journalists. Then another person states her daughter has been interviewing Ep-File PDF victims. Sound like she could have been taken as punishment for ransom. Now, I will say that Savannah has been courageous in her covering, also in her interviewing of PDF files that were potentially connected to Jeffrey Epstein, so it's not above the realm of possibility that this could be some type of revenge, right? But I think it's very, very imperative here that we let law enforcement conclude their investigation before we take it to space. But at the end of the day, something dark happened to this woman, and it's a shame. And if it comes out, right, speaking from the premise, if it comes out that it was Annie Guthrie's husband, Tommaso, that actually did this, what the fuck was the motive to take out this 84-year-old woman? Now, I do want to add that the police in Tucson were asked if they felt like Savannah's reporting or interviewing of victims that were connected to Epstein had anything to possibly do with the disappearance of her mother, and the police frankly said that they're not ruling anything out. So that's very interesting. But anyway, the only thing I can hope for is that Nancy Guthrie is found alive and stable, but it's not looking too good right now, if I'm being honest. But anyway, let's proceed to move forward, and I want to discuss Melinda Gates because she sat down recently and did an interview. We all know that Bill Gates was implicated within the Epstein Files. Reportedly, he slept with a bunch of Russian women and contracted a TD. I'm paraphrasing there. And then he emailed Jeffrey Epstein asking for medication. And apparently Bill was going to sneak some of that same medication to his then wife Melinda because, of course, he potentially infected her by cheating on her, right? So I want you guys to check out what Melinda had to say, and then I'll be back.
I have to acknowledge the elephant in the room at this moment. Your ex-husband, Bill, is named in the newest tranche of Epstein Files.
Yep.
And there are new alleged details about his past behavior. And I want to give you the opportunity to respond in whatever way you want to.
Well, let me say this. I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages, those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So, for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because, brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me. And I am so happy to be away from all the muck that was there.
I have to put more words to the muck for context for our listeners. The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. And so it's just sad. That's the truth, right? And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life. And I hope there's some justice for those now women, right? We see them standing up in front of microphones in DC. What they went through is just unimaginable, I think.
All right, so you heard what Melinda had to say about the situation. Very sad situation. Although she walked away with billions of dollars after divorcing Bill Gates, it still has to pain her just to think about all of the things that she went through. And I remember her saying in an interview that she met the man one time and it was just so dark, talking about Jeffrey Epstein, saying that he just had a dark presence, a dark aura about him. And ever since then, she didn't want to be around him. She didn't want Bill to be around him. But to know that Bill was associating himself with Jeffrey Epstein on a multitude of occasions, he's all on the flight logs and things of that nature, it just really, really has to break your heart as a partner to possibly know what your husband was doing out there on Epstein Island and all of the women that were violated and involved and possibly passed away in the presence of Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. We just don't know. I know that there's a lot of speculation there, but when I look at Bill Gates buying up all the land and buying up all the water, this is a very evil man, and I wouldn't put anything past him. The things that he's doing, with the food and things of that nature, contributing to Americans being sick in this country. It's just absolutely egregious. But anyway, I'm going to draw the line here. I want you guys to feel free to drop down in the comments and give me your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll check you guys out later. Have a beautiful day.
Tough News TV. We out.